Time now for the voice of the land on the Big Play Network with your hosts, Kevin Arnold and Always Positive Jay.
We did have John Telich on, and we got a chance to talk to him about all the stories from Fox 8, his career, but we also touched on the main sports story in town, and that is Cavs in the playoffs, and they are now 1-1 in the series with the Knicks. We would have liked to have seen them win both home games. You feel like you left one there in game one when you only lose by 4 and you really didn't play well, and you got the lead back in the fourth quarter where we've seen this team kind of finish things out. When they're behind and they come back, it seems like once they get in front, they're able to close the door. Credit to the Knicks. They had all the momentum in that game, and they took game one. But you gotta give a lot of credit to JB, to Darius, to the bench, to step up, to take what they learned in game one, their first ever playoff game together, and boy, come out and look exactly the opposite in game two and be the team that we want. We know that they are. They know that they can be.
Can beat anybody. This is what I've been saying. This team can beat anybody in I don't care, East or West. I don't give a damn which pick either one. When they play like that, that is their A game. They are playing defensive ball while still passing the ball. Not like you said. Know why we lost game one? One of the biggest reasons they started playing the stanky leg offense.
Yeah.
They got everyone else into a funk. And you pointed out perfectly. No, they played team ball. They took what was given to them, and they executed. And they weren't shooting themselves in the foot left and right like game one. Like when you – I'm not going to single them out, but when you miss wide open layups, you know it just ain't your day. Like it just ain't your day.
That was frustrating. Game
it was
one.
driving me nuts. Like audio said, thank God there wasn't a camera on me because I would have probably been canceled.
The lack of rebounds, I mean, in game one really just was,
Yeah.
it was driving me crazy because it's, they just, you're right, the stanky leg off, that's a good way to put it because it's like there was no one under the basket for so many of those shots. Like they came down, they passed it around a little bit, and they just tossed it up, and no one went to follow up. And at the beginning of game two, I was a little nervous there because I was on my way home, and it was, I think, 12-6. They were down.
They punched him right back in the mouth.
They did.
Yeah.
Figuratively and literally, like the one dude was bleeding all up in his mouth. I ain't gonna lie, I was like, yeah, that's what you get.
Well, you guys talked about the rebound in game one, not to dwell on that because it's a more positive feel today after game two, but this team is going to have to remind themselves of the bad taste in their mouth that was in game one because you don't want to taste that again in this series, or at least very often in this series. And what was so frustrating about the rebounding, it was, and growing up playing basketball, and in high school we had this drill where it was 3-on-3 and 3 guys around the perimeter. One would just chuck up a shot that was supposed to miss, and then you had to, or the coach would chuck it up and miss it, and the 3 defenders would have to box out. So it was, trying to use that aggressiveness to learn how to offensive rebound, but also get the defensive rebound. You had to get like 3 or 4 in a row to switch out with the next 3 in the drill. And if anybody's gone through a drill like that in the past, you know that there's days where alumni would come back too. These guys that are now like just in the gym all the time, they're just jacked and they're just allowed to push you around. There's going to be no foul calls or anything like that. There was days where they were getting a lot of the rebounds to start. It got to a point, though, if you're out there, you want to get the next group in there. So you did whatever it took to go get that rebound. The fact that never happened in that game, there was no pride to say, like, you've been beating my ass this whole time. One rebound is going to change this game. One prevention of you guys getting an offensive rebound is going to change this game in our favor. We're not just going to take the lead, but we're going to get that next basket to hold on to the lead. That never happened, and that was so frustrating. So that was what was so good yesterday was, guess what? You punched us in the mouth. How are you going to react when we do it to you? And they found out that the Knicks aren't so tough when they get the aggressiveness towards them or the physicality is towards them. Is every game going to go like that? If the Cavs are on a string playing defensively the way they did last night? No. Shots are going to go in. But you got to make this team earn it because they're not as good as they want to tell you they are. They're a lot better than what fans thought they were coming into this than saying, and I know fans are going to fan and they're going to say, oh, Cavs sweep or Cavs gentlemen sweep the Cavs in 5. I knew this was going to be a tough series. The Knicks are a good team, but they're not as good as a lot of people want to preach that they are, like Stephen A. Smith and these people that Cleveland are reacting to today. They're not as good with that if you are physical with them and you are attention to detail on defense and you are aggressive. Guess what? They might go on a 6-0 run, an 8-0 run. The game of basketball is a game of runs. But how do you stem the tide? And that's exactly what the Cavs did yesterday. You're going to have to do that a lot more, and only as a unit of 15 guys and the coaching staff, because it really is. In New York, it really is the common cliche of Cleveland against the world. It is Cleveland against everybody. It is the Cavs' small group of people that they bring to New York against everybody, because New York is coming for you. The fans are going to try to make them feel you. The team is going to try to make you feel that energy, that pressure of the playoffs in an opponent's building, I guess I would say. How do you respond? And I don't want to have to learn the lesson. Like JB always says, I don't want to learn a lesson in a loss. I want to learn as the game goes, and at the end of the game, close it out.
This reminds me of my favorite movie quote. I'm not going to quote it word for word, but it's from Rocky. And he talks to his son, and he's like, life is tough. It's going to come at you. It's going to beat you down, and it's going to continue to knock you down. And it ain't about how many times you get knocked down. It's how many times you can get up and hit back. Get back up and hit back. And that is how winning is done. And exactly what they did.
It is.
And I hope that game 2 is just a microcosm of what this team is about to become. Because, like I said, them not losing that 20-point lead, like if it was the 4th they would have gained it, I would have been more comfortable, but it was the 3rd, and that's what made me nervous. I'm like, oh, man, please just don't let these guys creep back in, because that just, they didn't. They never let go of the gas, not even to the end. And you got Knicks fans all up in a roar because Jared Allen's trying to the end. Like, I love that he did not let that dude know. I don't care if I'm up 20. You ain't getting no easy dunk on me. We're not stopping. We're not taking our foot off the brakes. Right now, they're all gas, no brakes, and they have to stay that way. This is playoff basketball. You can't. Game 1, you took, I don't know how many times you shot yourself in the foot, but it was pretty much a one-possession game. If you were only down by 2 when we had the ball last and not 4, that game is completely different. Maybe you force overtime. Maybe you make a game-winning 3, but you shot yourself in the foot, and just a couple possessions that you could have had buckets on made the difference at the end. And please, can we give some JB, our coach, some credit? Because, man, did he get those guys back on track.
Everybody's so willing to run him out of town when we lose. And when we lose like a big matchup in the regular season or even after game 1 of the playoffs, like ready to run him out of town. Everybody is so quick to the criticism and negativity. They're not as quick to that with the team that, plays the sport that was invented an hour south of there. But
they're pretty critical of them, too.
Yeah, but they're willing to come back on.
They'd rather fight with each other on Twitter.
Yeah, they'd rather do that. That's for sure. But you gotta give credit where credit is due. And you mentioned the Jared Allen play. I will disagree with John Telich in this. He said that play won't linger over. It will on the Knicks side of things.
If you let it.
If you let it. That's exactly where I was gonna go. The Knicks are gonna try to use that. Mm-hmm. Cavs, you firmly believe, and you know, and we're saying it too. Now, we're going to be considered biased because we're Cleveland Cavaliers fans, but that's not a flagrant foul. In the run of play, that's not a flagrant foul.
No.
He's not winding up. He's not swinging. He didn't.
No, he went for the ball.
He was
going for the ball.
Now, was he late? Absolutely, he was late. Is that a scary fall? Absolutely. I don't want to see Julius Randle go out. I don't wish injury on anybody, but I also want to beat the Knicks at their best. We want our best against their best. You don't want to have anybody give you any excuses. So, yeah, I don't like to see that. And maybe the better play there is when you're up, you kind of let the 2 points and you continue to play on. Why Thibodeau had Randall in there at that point as the Cavs were already getting their guys out, I don't know. That's on them to answer. That's on them to figure out. But you can't if you truly believe and you trust in each other and you know that Jared Allen had no malicious intent. Don't let the Knicks use that as fuel. Don't let the fans use that as fuel. They're going to try to get under your skin with that. Tune it out. Be one unit go on the road, and at least for one of those 2 games, shut New York the hell up, because I hate New York, just like the fans chanted last night. New York sucks. And if New York's got a problem with people saying you suck, you're probably going to chant Cleveland sucks. I don't give a darn. You suck. That's all there is to it. You've bought 27 championships in baseball. You think that your Knicks are supposed to have every big player. Guess what? You haven't been relevant since the 70s. So you suck.
Well, then. On your point about Jared Allen and people thinking he's a malicious player, like he literally proved in that game he's not a malicious player and he's a good-hearted dude. He put a hard pick on Brunson, and Brunson didn't see it coming, and he just got leveled. What did he do right after that? Did you notice? He went down and picked him up like, hey, are you okay? Are you okay? That's a playoff. Like, most people just go on like, all right, this dude's down. We're up a guy. He literally bent over to make sure the dude was like, okay.
Yeah.
Is that a malicious player? Absolutely not.
No, if you're Draymond Green, you'd kick him in the chest.
And to your point with New York fans, and I told you I had
you
a
have a
retraction.
retraction.
I was wrong.
I wanted to tell you, but I just let
Andy
you go.
Billman pointed it out. He goes, they've just been quiet and dormant. Now that I see they're just like Yankee fans, and I was wrong. I retract everything I say about Knicks fans. Kevin, you're right. They suck. Come in my house trying to do a New York chant. That's what you get. You get told you suck. And then you're going to sit there and say, oh, Jared Allen needs to be suspended. Like, dude, go enjoy your closet for $200,000 a month in your human-sized rats and your overhyped pizza. I don't give a damn about you or your city.
Yeah. I've never visited New York. Now, I mean, I would love to, and especially like New Year's Eve. Like,
I'm sure the pizza's probably good.
Yeah. I can't try it. So, you know what? If you got some gluten-free, dairy-free New York style thin crust pizza, I'll try it. Like I won't. We're nice people here in Cleveland. I'm not saying there's not nice people in New York too. There's probably plenty of them.
Like all 12 of them.
I'm just saying from a sports hatred standpoint, New York, you suck. And they're going to bring out all the stops. They're going to bring in all the chants.
See, my problem is the New York people going online and just being like, oh, I can't even imagine what it's like to live in Ohio. Thinking Ohio is something. They got nothing going on. Like, dude, you have no idea how nice it is. We are like
You know
the
what?
sneakiest, nicest area.
Let them think that, because God knows we don't need them here.
No, because if they found out how nice it was here and what we have to pay and our awesome school system and our great, like, Metro Park systems we got and all this stuff, like, dude, I enjoy my 4 seasons. I enjoy that I can have a yard that my kids could go run around or a dog can go run around in and stuff. Nah, man, you can keep them in New York.